I make this look easy.
Welcome to the Realm Kast, Mortal Kombat Online's official podcast, the original Mortal Kombat podcast bringing you well-known and significant members of the Mortal Kombat community. I'm your host, the Mortal Kombat FANTiM, and with me as always is my co-host, our lore master, Johnny. Welcome, Johnny.
Thank you, FANTiM. And today we'd like to welcome Casper Van Dien, famous for playing Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers, but known in the Mortal Kombat community specifically for playing everyone's favorite, Johnny Cage, in Legacy Season 2. Welcome, Casper.
Hey, thank you guys.
Hey, Casper, it's so great to have you on today. Before we get too much into Mortal Kombat specifically, we want to kind of start things from the beginning. Let's go back and look at your career. I mean, because your career is long and extensive. I mean, you were 90s heartthrob Johnny Rico in Starship Troopers, as Johnny mentioned. How did you end up getting into acting in the first place? Like, where did this journey begin?
Well, I always blame my parents for it. They took me to see, my dad got me really into watching movies and stuff like that. And I watched the Tarzan movies because he was a big fan of Tarzan. So when I got to play Tarzan play my idol was surreal for me. But, they would, he was a military guy, taught me discipline, and then encouraged me to sing and dance, and just they're just very, very positive. So I was lucky. And how did I get into the acting? So let me see. So I was doing I was working at a gym, and the guy said, "Hey, you should go to this modeling competition." And I went over to Miami from Punta Gorda, where I was living at the time, which was 3.5 hours away. I did this competition and I won. And I won a whole bunch of different things. And then I got an audition. The agent asked me to go on an audition, and I got a call back. And then I booked my very first audition ever, which was a Midway Airlines commercial, which I just had to sit in a chair and dance. Well, 4 girls danced around me in bikinis. It was a really difficult time.
Not a bad first commercial.
I don't know if it was because commercial. I don't know if it was that, but it was fun. Then the manager heard about me in L.A. I went out to meet him, and he wanted to sign me his Magnificent Seven, Elijah Wood and Jonathan Taylor Thomas and me and a whole bunch of other actors that work all the time. He died of AIDS 2 years later, but he was pretty amazing.
As far as movies go, one of your big first roles in movies, and Yanni pointed this out to me, and I thought it was pretty funny, was you ended up being one of the bystanders in the movie Casper, A Spirited Beginning. And Yanni told me about this, and we just had a good chuckle about it because you got to play you got to play in Casper, and you being Casper. So
it's just a small little silly observation, but we loved it.
Yeah, I had my agent at the time call up and go, "Hey, Casper wants to be in Casper. I had kids," and they're like, "Okay." So they threw me in. I was in 2 Caspers. I was Casper 2 and Casper 3.
Oh, nice. So you made it to both.
Yeah.
So, of course, in 1997, you ended up going into Starship Troopers and playing Johnny Rico. Had you read the book at all before you picked up this role, or was it just that you received the script?
I read the book. I grew up in a military family, and I went to an all-guy military school. But before I went to military school, I read Starship Troopers. And then when I read the script for Starship Troopers, I was like, wow, I didn't understand the satire.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe as a kid I go that I love that this much. I guess I didn't know I knew satire like that when I was a kid. And went back and reread the book, and there's no satire in the book. So
right.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Really?
They were quite different, the book and the movie, but the way the director portrayed the satire in that movie, I think, was fantastic.
Yeah, it was. Paul Verhoeven's a genius, so I'm always honored to have been cast by him to be a lead in his movie.
Right.
Being a huge RoboCop fan, and
yeah,
wanting to be Murphy and then getting to be the lead in his movie is.
Oh, I could totally see you playing Murphy. Yeah, would have pulled that off.
Yeah, I always wanted to play Murphy. Always great.
you said you grew up in a military family and had gone to military school and stuff like that. Did that help out a lot with a lot of these roles that you've played throughout time?
I think it helps me a lot that I grew up with an amazing military family, and I went to military school. It helps me be more prepared and on time and organized. And yeah, it's every show or movie or anything is it's like a battle. It's going into war and everything like that. Be prepared for everything, and then know that it's not going to be the way you want it to be, but it's going to end up being something.
Yeah, really. And then also a lot of these roles that you've played, I mean, you ended up reprising Johnny Rico for quite a few of the Starship Trooper movies. Ended up becoming one of the producers of some of these movies too. And I'm sure that kind of helped set the tone for this militaristic world that was built in Starship Troopers.
Ed Neumeyer, who wrote RoboCop and Starship Troopers, is one of my best friends, one of my closest guys. So I've been lucky enough to read all his scripts, and he's a genius as well. So Paul and him both, two genius IQs, just quite amazing to listen and sit and watch how they can come up with things. But yeah, they're the ones that cast me as Johnny. So.
All right. I'm going to have to hear more about that when we get into the Mortal Kombat. But I'm also curious, since we're on the topic of Starship Troopers, you went from Starship Troopers directly into Starship Troopers 3, but didn't appear in the sequel, the second movie. What was the story there?
They wanted to go with a different cast.
As tended to happen in that age.
I tried to be in it. I wanted to. They just didn't. They were, I think the director was going for something different.
Yeah, that's too bad. I could have seen the appeal because I mean that was you brought so much star power to Starship Troopers, and I remember in high school like all the girls were talking about Johnny Rico and wanting to see Starship Troopers just because Casper Van Dien's in it, and that we would take them to the movie and then it was something completely different than what they expected, and all the guys loved it. So.
Yeah, the guys love it. Yeah, true. I mean, the movie has legs still, which is amazing to me.
Yeah,
that it's still and that it went over the head of some of the people with the satire in the beginning, which I think is funny, especially now. I didn't so much back then. I really wanted it to be a huge success. I wanted, it's a great movie, and he's a genius director, and his insights and his, people call me up and like, oh my God, Starship Troopers is so today. And I'm like, it's also so 1997. But it is so today. People are like, oh my God, it's like our time. It's like, how did he know? How is he so prophetic that he could see into the future? I'm like, well, I just think he's a good study of human character.
Right.
It's a testament to how well it was made that it can both be from back then and from now. It really does fit both time periods so well.
Yeah, it really did. It's just I'm thrilled that I got to be a part of that one. Being Johnny Rico, and people yelling, "Hey, Johnny Rico, Rico," whatever it is they yell. It's always so much fun for me. I'm thrilled to be a part of that.
You went from Starship Troopers into Starship Troopers 3, but then you were also a part of Invasion and Traitor of Mars, firstly as producer and then as producer and voice acting. What was the shift? Why was there a shift towards animation rather than continuing live action at this point?
I have no idea. I know that they really, Shinji Aramaki, who directed both of those, is a Japanese artist who's really big, and he did Appleseed, and he created he's one of the original designers of mecha suits. He saw Starship Troopers when he was a kid and said he saw the cover of the book in 1959 or 8, whenever it came out, and it had this mechanized suit. And as a kid, he went, I could make those work, and he became one of the top 5 designers in Japan of the mecha suits. Any of those people wearing like robotic suits in any of those movies, he created them. And since he did that anime, Appleseed, and all that other stuff, I think they just wanted to do that with Starship Troopers. I think he thought it was a good fit. and he wanted to be full circle for him.
That's really cool. I didn't realize that, and that makes a lot of sense. The animation styles, I think, for those last few movies, they were very similar to Appleseed, their 3D ones that they did.
Yeah.
So, of course, kind of going through your career here, after Starship Troopers, you end up doing Tarzan, which was also a big hit. And
it wasn't a big hit, but I thank you for saying that. I wish it had been a big hit. It just wasn't. We didn't pull it off. We didn't pull something off. They went to, I think they did, they had some great moments and some things like that. But the director at the time, Carl Schenkel, said that they wanted to go PG after shooting an R movie. And it's kind of hard to switch it. Warner Brothers wanted to switch it up after we were the first acquisition. And so they shifted the story a lot. So it was different. But I love being the 20th Tarzan, and I love I got to write the foreword just recently for they're re-releasing all 24 novels by Edgar Rice Burroughs, and they asked me to write the foreword, and I did for Tarzan the Invincible, which is book number 14. So I got to write the foreword for that, which was so much fun for me to do because I read these book series when I was a kid, and again when I became Tarzan. So it was awesome.
That's amazing. That's like a dream come true, I'm sure.
Well, it's the biggest thrill of my life, being a Tarzan. Another John. He's John. John Clayton,
right.
Johnny Rico, and then Brom Bones. No, wait.
In Tarzan, I actually rewatched that recently, and in that movie, you're doing these different things like swinging from vines. You're fighting people. You get to work with various animals. You're even dancing the waltz, like I'm part of it, and then a monkey imitates you guys, and like there's so many great scenes in that movie. Do you feel like you got a chance to kind of show all of your different talents while you were making this movie?
No, I feel like we were really restricted, and I wish we could have done more. I thought at the time that they should have cast me as George of the Jungle, not Tarzan. I thought I was I thought that I was too much of a prankster for the seriousness of Tarzan. But it's one of the greatest thrills of my life to be him.
Oh, I'm sure.
And I couldn't have done better than Brandon Fraser in George of the Jungle. I mean, he was awesome.
That was a really fun movie. But it's weird to me to hear that, it wasn't a success, because honestly, I look back at this movie. I haven't rewatched it recently like FANTiM, but I really enjoyed it, and I wouldn't have thought, like looking back on it now, that it wasn't a success in my eyes. Because I enjoyed it so much. That's why we come in and we say, yeah, this was a great success,
It seems to have a little bit of legs. In 2000, I think it was 8 or something like that, the Edgar Rice Burroughs estate gave me an award, the Golden Lion Award, and they presented, and they had Jane Goodall present it to me. In front of, there was 1,000 people in the audience. There's 2 other Tarzans there, and me, and they presented me this Golden Lion for my portrayal of Tarzan being closest to the book at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a success to me.
Yeah.
Later, it had some legs and stuff like that. It's still fun for me. I love the Tarzan fans. They're some of my favorite. That they're so loyal, and they're such good people. And I mean, they also knew that I was an Edgar Rice Burroughs fan before, so they knew that I already liked, I read his book, so I'm thrilled to be a part of it.
Did you end up doing that Tarzan yell yourself, or did they dub over you?
They did something with a computer generated thing on top of it, but I did do the Tarzan yell. I still do it some of the time. I did the Tarzan yell. It's just, right now, if I did it, we'd have a mess. The elephants would come running through. Nobody wants to clean up after an elephant. Yes, I do the Tarzan yell.
So I'm curious, before we continue, do you have any good stories from either of these productions? Because these were 2 huge productions as far as, and you got such a fan base about it. I'm sure they would love to hear any behind the scenes stories that you might have had from either of these movies.
Yeah, sure. So when Jane March and I are riding our elephant, and we jump off the elephant, I jump first, and then she jumps off. I catch her because it's up high, and she weighs 80 pounds. And so it's like nothing. And then the baby elephant and the mama elephant or papa elephant are supposed to walk off, and we're supposed to wave, But the elephant came and rubbed its head up against me like this, and so I pushed its head, and I learned right then and there that you never push a baby elephant's head because it turned around and its butt covered the camera, so and its ears went out, and it charged me, and I said, "Jane, run!" And the tusk hit me here, and I grabbed onto both of them and lifted me 4 feet up over its head, and I was arched back, and then it slammed me down, and it backed up again, putting its ears out, and they came to get it away from me, and I ran up a hill, and they're like, Tarzan, oh, it's a good thing you grabbed onto the tusk. It would run right over you. And I'm like, and then they're like, and never push a baby elephant's head. They'll want to play.
Yeah.
Well, now you know. This might have been good to know beforehand.
A baby elephant still weighs 1.5 tons. Mm-hmm. And as Tarzan, I was pretty strong, but I was 163 pounds.
Gosh.
when that tusk, since it was a small baby, its tusks were still rounded, but it jammed into me, and I had a big welt and bruise on my ribs from when it hit, because it's like a punch. It's not like when they hit you, you're like, oh, this is nice. It hit me. So I didn't grab on because all of a sudden I have these amazing skills that I'm like, oh yes, I'm really Tarzan. I grabbed on. Ow! Yeah. I did hold on, and I didn't die. And they're like, if you hadn't grabbed on, he would have run right over you. And I was like, yeah, I get it.
Gosh.
Thanks for the heads up beforehand.
Yes.
Things that you should tell an actor beforehand is one of the number one things I always tell people is never push a baby elephant's head.
That's the rules of life right there.
I'm just imagining them saying to you, come on, you never push a baby elephant's head. Everybody knows this.
That would have been terrible, but I was like, thanks for the heads up. I'm going to go change my loincloth right now.
After Tarzan, you ended up joining Tim Burton and Johnny Depp and being in Sleepy Hollow, which you got to play the head Van Brunt, I think was his last name in the movie.
Brom Van Brunt, yeah. Brom Bones, or Brom Bones. They also called him that.
How was it on that set? I mean, you got to play basically like one of the antagonists to Ichabod Crane in that movie, and like
Johnny Depp's incredible. Tim Burton's incredible. It was one of the greatest thrills of my life. Christina Ricci is amazing, and Christopher Walken is just awesome. And
oh yeah,
Brandon Richardson. I mean, there were so many people in there that I love. Ian McDermott. There's so many people that I just think were awesome, and I was just grateful to be able to be in scenes with them and be in a movie with them. Just hysterical people. And Johnny Depp was one of my biggest regrets is I'd quit smoking, and we were rolling a cigarette. He's always rolling cigarettes, and he goes, "Hey, you want one?" And I was like, "Nah, I quit." But I wish I had smoked a cigarette, after he rolled it. Just smoked one with Johnny fucking Depp. So
right, yeah.
Because he was one of the coolest guys on set, just nice, very kind, very cool, very open. Totally dug him, and he was very, it's intimidating because you're with somebody who you're a huge fan of, and then he makes you feel real comfortable, which was awesome.
But that's actually such a good thing. Like we've heard from a few of our previous guests actually when they've worked with somebody who they look up to, and generally the overarching theme is that they felt very comfortable around them too. And that's actually such a positive thing to hear in this industry.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why he was so successful. And I think it's because he's a good person and a good person around other people. At least that's what my experience was of him. I know there was a lot of other stuff in the news, but I don't really pay attention to that because I've been married and divorced. So I know people go through crap.
Yeah.
It's just life. And if you go, oh my God, I can't believe that. I'm like, then you're not listening to anything or not even paying attention to your own life because everybody goes through crap.
Right.
It's just somebody has something happen that's not good. Somebody does die sometime in life. Nobody's impervious to it. There's stuff that happens to all of us.
So somebody once told me that the worst part about divorce is just how your name gets dragged through the mud no matter what. And there's going to be mud on everybody by the time it's over. So, yeah.
Yeah, I wish my exes all the best of luck in their life, and I hope they're doing well. And I'm happy now, so that's the most important thing. And I hope they're happy. They should be.
Exactly. It doesn't need to end with negativity like that. And I mean, speaking of good people, actually, that's such a good thing. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, I would like to bring up Rules of Attraction, which was a movie where you basically hated everybody. Now, as far as I understand, well,
The Rules of Attraction was based on a book by Bret Easton Ellis, who actually wrote my favorite book, American Psycho, which your character in the movie, Patrick Bateman, was the focus of. I'm curious as to what happened with your scenes, because I can't remember looking far back, but I've read that your scenes were cut or something, or what was...
Yeah, they were cut due to explicit content and stuff. So I had one scene where I'm just on the phone with my brother yelling at him, calling him an idiot. And then the other one, pulls up on me, and I'm and Roger Avery always threatens me that he's going to release this. He pulls back, and I'm talking with his head, and I turn around, you see that the head is in a bag, and then I pull the bag up, and it's a severed head, and I'm in a leopard G-string dancing around naked. Like whatever I'm doing was pretty horrible and graphic, and they cut it out.
Oh my gosh!
So, do you wish this had not been cut, or I'm curious what the what you're thinking here? Would you have preferred that would stay in?
I have no idea. I have no idea what I of course I love being on camera and doing wild, crazy things. It was really, even for me at that point in time, I was like, wow, this is really, really crazy. But he's like, yeah, I love it. It's my favorite scene, but I had to cut it. Like,
why?
Favorite scene, then, Roger. I don't think that's your favorite cut. They made me cut it. I'm like, if it's your favorite scene, I'm not buying it. But he is a sweet man, so I appreciate him affording me that opportunity to play Patrick Bateman, which was done so brilliantly before, and so I just wanted to have fun doing it too.
How about Alita Battle Angel? Now, you come up as Amok, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I really enjoyed that movie. How was the experience?
The experience was amazing. My buddy Garrett Warren, who directed me in season 3 of Mortal Kombat Legacy, he was also in Starship Troopers with me. He's also my godfather to my kids. I'm the godfather to his. He's just the greatest guy. He called me up. I'm filming this Doolittle movie where I played Jimmy Doolittle, a pilot from America who took B-25s off to take revenge on Japan after they bombed Pearl Harbor. I'm shooting this movie, and he calls me up. He goes, Casper, I need you to do this. Put yourself on audition. You need to come through this, smash something, say something, whatever I had to say online, and then just get out of there. And he goes, just do this audition. I go, what? He goes, just send it to me. I'm sending it to Robert Rodriguez. I go, I don't have time. I'm on my way to set. He goes, just take 5 minutes and do it. So I get on, and I do this thing where I'm like, I run up to my cell phone, I put it on, hit it, and I run up to it, and I'm like, yeah, and I do the whole scene and everything. And Garrett says, he goes, yeah, I showed it to Robert, and Robert goes, is that Casper Van Dien? And he goes, yeah. He goes, he do this? He goes, yeah, and he goes, he's got the job. So I auditioned for a stunt guy, as a stunt guy, and I got the part, and they made it an actor guy. Even though I got to still do the punch through the glass with it. And I'm in a scene with Christoph Waltz, and Christoph Waltz is just like, do you need anything else? And I'm like, I'm a huge fan. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a genius. He's asking me, no, you're perfect. What can I do better? But Robert Rodriguez wanted to talk about Starship Troopers the whole time. It was just a surreal experience. He loved the movie, and he was just like, I just want to tell you. And he talked about it all day long. It's the main thing he talked about. It's so funny because I went to the premiere of it, and then I took my daughters and my friends, 50 of my friends. I said on Facebook, hey, we're going to go watch Alita Battle Angel. So 50 of us went into the room and everything like that, and we're all watching. There's other people in there, but we're all mixed around and everything like that. And at the point comes when I smash. Spoiler alert! If you guys don't want to spoil about it, don't listen right now. Put it on pause. Put your headphones on. Whatever your earplugs. Okay. So now I'm going to say it. So we're in the theater, and all of a sudden, when I smash the little girl, the 12-year-old, in the wheelchair and kill her.
Spoilers.
Everybody in the audience, all my friends went, yeah! and my director friend said, he goes, there's these two couple that looked at each other and were like, what the fuck is wrong with people? But they stayed afterwards, and they came and they went, oh, and then they took a picture with me. But it was fun because my friends are all like just like yelling. I was like, so I'm like, hey, look, I'm in only 1 second. If you watch it, if you blink, you're gonna miss me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
But Robert also said to me, he said, you know, your character doesn't die, and I'm like, I'm ready for the prequel or whatever. He goes, yeah, and I'm like, I'm ready. So he's just the sweetest guy.
The amount of people that are ready for a sequel to that movie is insane. I mean, like, there's so many petitions for it, and so many people want it. Like, I hope to see it a next edition to that series, and I hope you're in there because, yeah, I mean, the first one was amazing.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm actually surprised we haven't heard any confirmation on that so far. Yeah. Because, I mean, as far as I understood, there was a very good reception to the movie, at least from everybody that I spoke to, and I myself.
They always want a little bit more. There's a certain bar they want to, you know, just make over before they'll greenlit something, and it just got up to the bar, but it didn't go over it as much as they wanted it to.
Mm.
I think when they see that, then they're like, I think it's still close. I think it's still, there's a possibility. So
it seems like one of those things where the fans might need to play a part in trying to get it back. That's happening a lot more nowadays.
Yeah, I love when the fans do that. It's just it's just awesome.
So after Alita, or actually at the time of recording this, this movie hasn't been released yet, but you have the Most Dangerous Game, which is releasing this week. Is that based off of the book, The Most Dangerous Game?
Yeah, it's based off of the book, The Most Dangerous Game. I have a premiere in Miami that I'm going to on Thursday, and then I'm going to, so it comes out on the 5th. Limited
exciting.
Theaters, and then on pay-per-view, of course. So it's going to be, you know, or whatever it is online, however they do it. I don't know. But it's coming out, and it was a lot of fun to do. There's a twist to it. There's a couple twists to this, but it is the story.
Who are you allowed to say who you're going to be playing in the movie?
Yeah, well, he's different than it's a different character. I play Baron von
Wolf.
Baron von Wolf. Yeah, Baron von Wolf. And he's an ex-Nazi.
Oh, cool.
He twisted, instead of being a Russian, he's an ex-Nazi.
Uh-huh.
But there's a twist to that even too. It's just, it was a lot of fun for me. I worked with a German dialect coach for 3 months before I did it, and I went and I just did, you know, I did that for it. It was always a thrill. It's you know, just awesome. I hope it turns out okay. They seem to be positive about it. They're doing a premiere for it, so in Miami. So I don't know.
I'm super excited about this one. That's one of my favorite books. And spoiler alert to our listeners: The Most Dangerous Game is man. So basically, you're watching a manhunt movie, and this is kind of what inspired so many different things out there, like Hunger Games and Battle Royale and stuff like that. So it's going to be
Joe McCree and Fay Ray were in the original one. So it's just Joe McCree's an incredible actor. Old time, nobody knows him anymore, or unless they're diehard fans like me or us or whatever. But he was an incredible actor, and he played. But he didn't play I play the I play the Zaroff character, but only as Baron von Wolf. So,
how is it that you get involved in a lot of these books turned movies. Is there any method to this, or does it just kind of happen, or is this something that you look for when you're auditioning?
Oh, of course, I love when it's a good book and you've read it and everything like that. So being Tarzan and Sleepy Hollow and Starship Troopers, having read the books before, was absolutely a thrill. And then I have a new series out right now called Salvage Marines on Popcorn Flicks that people can see for free. It is based off a book series too. And it's just so surreal to read the script afterwards and then start reading the book and go, oh my God, these guys were fans of Starship Troopers, and to see that they just nerd out like I nerd out. It's awesome.
So I've actually been catching up on Salvage Marines, and it's such a good mix between Starship Troopers and like Space Above and Beyond from the Sci-Fi Channel's series. And to see these two things kind of come together, it's been a lot of fun to watch. I just finished episode 4, and there's like this complete twist of the entire story. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to finish this now. And then I left it to come jump on this interview. But as soon as I get done with this interview, I'm going to pick it back up because I'm super invested at this point. And I really want to know what fights next.
I'm so glad, this has been the reaction I've gotten from most press people. People are like, I'm hooked. They'll watch, all the people, they've been like, it's such a good show. And I think it's not like we don't have a big budget. We don't have some huge thing. Like, we're not a studio or anything. It's a little show, but everybody's heart was in it, and you could really feel it. And everybody was given all these different levels, and the story's good and it's compelling, and it has a lot of things where you're like, oh no, or yes. I've gotten so many different reactions from people that they've been like, but it's really positive. You can, the joy of this one is that everybody really captured. Everybody was able to be aware in some way of the presence and of the joy that we had being in it. So,
I'm happy to hear that there's this big twist, because I'm actually catching up on it too. I've just finished episode 2. I'm really enjoying it already. But to hear that something else is going to really just flip everything on its head is actually like, oh my God, now I really need to get back to this. But it's so interesting to me to see how, like, looking back on Starship Troopers, and then now you're in Salvage Marines, and obviously there's going to be that Johnny Rico comparison, and I've seen that, that's just something that's going to happen. But you have totally addressed that, even in the show itself. It seems how you're coming in and everybody's all, oh yeah, well, he's older, and that, yes, I'm older, but I've got more experience than you, and it's just, you can tell that you wanted to address it, and I think you've addressed it so well.
Yeah, it was fun. The thing about Salvage Marines is everybody is born the same. We're all in debt, and we're in debt from our parents' debt and their grandparents' debt. So it just keeps compounding. You'll never get out. Only one way is if you join the Salvage Marines. But if you join the Salvage Marines, you got like 80% chance of dying.
Which is another way of getting out.
And then there's 20% of them that stay in, that are the survivors. Like 97% of them get wounded, like they lose an arm, and then they're more in debt because they have a new arm that they have to pay for. So you can almost never get out of debt, but you have a chance. It's like winning the lottery, but you're sacrificing yourself, not just your money. But we're all equal. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, straight, gay. It doesn't matter what denomination you are, of anything. It doesn't really matter. The only thing that matters is the person right next to you. But we still do have ageism, and we do address it well. So it was so much fun for us to do that. In the books, Sam Heist, who I play, is younger, but they decided, since they wanted to do this, they were huge fans of Starship, that they'd just make him older. So they made him and my buddy older. And so, like, the reason we join up is, like, in Starship Troopers, Johnny Rico joins for a girl because he's dumb.
Young and dumb.
He comes from a rich family, doesn't do well in his grades, but he doesn't care. He's got everything, but he joins up because he wants to impress a girl. Doesn't work, whatever, blah, 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 blah. But he decides, mobile and free, that's the way it is. And he never questions it. And I used to go to Paul. I used to go, Paul goes, no, this is great. And he's right. Paul's 100% right. It was great. It's a great character to play. It was sometimes I'd be like, oh my God, Paul, please, I need to do something. He goes, no, just straight. And I'm like, okay, just straight. Because you got to respect him. He did RoboCop, totally. You're like, what? This man knows what he's doing. So anyhow, that guy does all that. Sam Heist didn't join up because he didn't want to die, and he's like, I'll live with debt and everything. But then he and his wife get an unexpected pregnancy, and then he's like, I can't leave this debt on my kid. So he joins up for a noble reason, to try to help his family and get them out of a life of servitude, because he doesn't want her working the lunch lines anymore, or whatever it is that she has to do to they scrap by. It's pretty a bleak future, but it's interesting because this debt thing reminds me of student loans and taxes and our credit card debts and how much we all are in debt. So it's really profound and timely what we're dealing with in this. And so it was a lot of fun doing the show, and I'm glad it's doing well with people so far.
Well, we're really enjoying it. We've been keeping each other updated on where we were. He's obviously skipped ahead of me now, apparently. But one of the things that I really actually liked was at the beginning, where you've just mentioned that, there's the concept of ageism in it, and you're talking to I can't.
Peter Shinkoda?
It's you go for the meeting to try and figure out your debt, and you tell the guy, you told me there was always a way out.
Richard Montgomery. He's a great actor.
Yes. But he immediately tells you, no, that this was when you were younger. And you're like, what does it matter? If I'm going to die, I'm going to die.
Yeah. It right away addressed. Why do they care if it's a 25-year-old that dies or a 45-year-old or whatever at the age I was supposed to be at that time? So
yeah, like you're saying, like what I've been finding really interesting is a lot of the real world associations, and anybody that's ever experienced the military or in any capacity, you've managed to capture a lot of that too, especially for the Marines, because there's kind of the same thing with Starship Troopers, but there's this grunt mentality of this is our duty, we're going in, and in this case with Salvage Marines, it's been this is our call, I think is what they chant when they go in, or this is our job or something like that.
This is the job. This is
the job. Yep. And it's like this is the mentality of a lot of armed services and stuff, and it's captured well.
Oh, thank you. In Starship Troopers, I Johnny Rico followed the line, the mobile infantry, that's a good soldier. In this one, I'm following the line, but you guys haven't gotten to it yet, but there's some twists. I start seeing some things and so I start questioning stuff, which I love. So I give you a little bit of a spoiler. Sorry, guys.
No, that's good. That's like a carrot on a stick spoiler.
Yeah, it's not bad. There's some really cool things that happen, and I'm like, oh no, and I don't want to do it. And yes, okay, good. So there's just so many good things that that are coming up. But I like that people have said. Somebody asked me this. It was a great question. They said, who do you think would win in a fight, Johnny Rico or Sam Heist? And I go, well, I'm going to be honest with you, Sam Heist. And they go, what? And I go, Johnny Rico could be stronger, younger, might have that, but I have old man strength and I have wisdom. I've been around the block, and the things that I know now that I didn't know back then, and plus all the training I've done, all the fighting I've done over these years. When I was 27, I had done some. Granted, I had been doing it for years, but I've done it a lot longer, and I'm a lot better now. I might not be as young, but I think I still have enough tricks that I'd be able to take out young me.
Honestly, I do want to address this. We keep saying, oh, you're addressing the fact that you're older, et cetera, et cetera. Honestly, we're saying that just because of the time has passed. You do not seem older, for the record.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. I'm 53. I'm loving being 53. I'll be 54 in December. So, but I feel young. I feel light, lucky. I still work out, still train, still run. So I'm still doing things. Got a young wife, so I got to keep up with her.
I'm curious, what's your diet and workout regimen like? Because the shape that you're in, I mean, as we've seen in Salvage Marines, you're in great shape.
Yeah, I was right there. I knew I was having that shower scene, so I was really, really specifically training for that one. So I was like, there's been times where people have gone, where I've taken my shirt off since later in life, and they're going, oh, not Tarzan anymore. And I'll be like, what? You never Tarzan. Don't give me that. So, it's just, and I'm not far off from where I was in Tarzan. I haven't been. I'm within 20 pounds of being there right now. If I was just to lean out, that's all it is. It's just getting really lean. It's hard. And I don't live lean. I live normal. And then when I have to roll that requires me to get there, then I'll get there. But I don't live lean. I don't think it's, I see some guys that do that. It seems like it's healthy for them, but it's not healthy for me. I love food too much. I'm a vegan though.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I'm a complete vegan. I won't eat an animal or anything that's been from an animal. So I refuse to do that. I don't. And that probably happened because of Tarzan. So I blamed him because I had to work with animals, and I was like, I want to adopt it. And then later they fed me for dinner, and I was like, what was that? And they're like, that was that animal you were playing with today. And I was like,
no.
well, I said I wanted to adopt, and they're like, yeah. Why? And they're like, oh, sorry, Tarzan, it broke its leg. We don't waste the animal here. And I'm like, no, I understand. But oh my God. The animal I just played with that had eyes that reminded were half between my dog and my horse. And then I ate it. It was delicious, but then I couldn't eat after that. I couldn't finish it when I found out, and I couldn't eat meat for a while after that. So there you go.
I've had similar experiences with my family. I swear, one day 2 chickens will end up in the yard just running around. The next day we're eating chicken. I'm like, wait, where'd they go? And you're a kid, so you don't like. I didn't realize at the time, so I feel your pain there.
It's interesting because I look at them and I go, wait a minute, they're animals, so they're not the same as us. But then I meet them and I start talking to their souls. And my dog's amazing, my cat's amazing, my horse is amazing. You know, my animals, I love my animals. And I just started looking at all these different ones. And when you meet all these other animals, the water buck that I ate that day, it was dancing around. It played fetch with me. It looked me in the eyes. It rubbed up against me. I mean, I know it's just an animal, but Tarzan's supposed to connect with it. And I'm supposed to connect with that one. You don't see it in the movie because I ate it. But it's not in the movie anymore. But it was supposed to be in the movie. There was supposed to be this whole scene with it because it was going to fetch something and get it for me and help me. And then they're like, well, don't worry, we wrote something else. I'm like, I ate my friend.
But it's not just an animal though, is it? I know we kind of get accustomed to saying that, but I mean, like you said, you've got a horse, you've got a dog, etc. They're not just animals to you, right? They're friends, they're family. Exactly, yeah.
My dog son is amazing. I love him. And my koi fish, the koi fish I had for 20 years. I don't have them right now, but I had them for 20 years. My kids used to say, you love your koi fish more than us. And I go, yep. I still have my kids. I don't have my koi fish. So through, but someday koi fish again.
I was going to say, it sounds like a plan from the kids. They felt threatened by the koi.
No, they love that. I love them. They're so cute.
Well, speaking of family, going back to Salvage Marines, you have obviously joined up, as you mentioned, for the sake of family. However, you are actually, there's a bit of temptation going on within the show. And funnily enough, that temptation is happening with your real life wife.
Yes. My real life wife, who also called up her friend and said to me, she goes, I think Lenara should be your husband. And then I'm like, what? And she's like, okay. She goes, hey, Lenara, you want to come kiss my husband? And so I got this beautiful woman who's a friend of ours, because my wife made me. I mean, I'll suffer for the art. She's so beautiful. She said something so beautiful, and this is timely right now. She said, we did a panel in San Diego, and she said, I just wanted to say, as a little girl that watched Star Trek and watched the first interracial kiss, to being us doing this now, it's such a huge compliment to the journey. And I was like, oh. So
yeah,
beautiful.
So that didn't actually click. That is actually really
I didn't even
comparison. Yeah.
Until she said it, and I was like, I didn't even think that way. I just thought I was kissing a beautiful, beautiful woman. Who's I love her husband and their kid. I'm not. My wife made me do it. I was like, honey, you called her up and said, hey, come kiss Casper. She said, okay. So it's my wife. I blame her.
Well, there's actually, like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because we know that she's your wife in the show, but there's clearly a lot of chemistry showing in the actual episodes between you and your wife, your real life wife.
I didn't know at first. After I started looking into some of the episode information, I was like, oh, wait a second. That explains this chemistry. But I mean, it plays well in the show.
That's nice because not always does it play for some couples, and that can be disappointing for them. But yes, it does play, and it's hard because I just look at her and I want to sleep with her. So I and the chemistry. I mean, I'm just always like, I wake up in the morning, I look over and I go, oh my God, I'm so blessed. Thank you, Jesus. I'm like, whatever I want to say, thank you, whoever. Thank you, Buddha. I'll pray to any of you just to say thank you.
Well, with that in mind, is it difficult playing a character who, I mean, as far as I can tell, based on where I'm at in the show, seems to be on the verge of an affair with your wife?
That was a lot to do. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, am I gonna, I don't know, but you just go for it. It's well written, and we got to play. I think we played it off so well through the whole thing. You're gonna see the whole arc on it. It's good, and there's a completion there too. For 6 episodes, we have more episodes written, and we have more stuff going on. But we just have to, hope that people like the show, and then they'll watch it, and there'll be enough demand for season 2.
It's good sci-fi.
Yeah, based on what FANTiM and I have seen, we both really enjoy it, and I think that season 2 should be clear based on what I've seen so far. But you've not just been working with your wife; you've also worked with somebody who you've worked with previously, and that is Kevin Porter. He is in as what was the name? He was basically one of the bosses. Sorry, what was that?
Marsters.
Yes. And he plays, well, firstly, a badass. Which
He's going to love you. He's going to love you that you said that about him. He's going to absolutely love you because Kevin Porter just loves that. And yes, he does play a badass. So,
well, I've been watching him since Bat in the Sun, actually, which is where I think you've linked up with him previously.
Yes, I linked up with him because of my wife. She was the host of the Bat in the Sun web series. She was Superpower Beatdown.
That did not click until now. Oh my God.
So she was the host. My host wife has been doing that show, and that's how I met Kevin Porter. So
all right. Okay, because he plays obviously an amazing Batman, and you turned up in Dying is Easy as Commissioner Jim Gordon.
Yes.
What was that experience like?
It was short and sweet. It was in one day. We shot that one thing for me. I'm always glad to be around KP. I think he's amazing. He's also in The Most Dangerous Game with me.
Oh, right.
Oh, nice.
He plays Igor.
Cool.
Okay, cool.
He's my mute assistant.
I'm so excited for this.
His screaming in Salvage Marines, where I'm just constantly hearing about candy asses, to going mute is going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's actually good. That's a good point because you're going to see that there's a different character, and he is so good in The Most Dangerous Game. He's just so good. He's menacing.
Another good reason to see this movie then. All right, awesome.
We also have Tom Berenger, and we also have Alyssa Dowling, and we also have oh my God, I can't believe him, Bruce Dern.
Okay.
And we also have Judd Nelson in it.
This is a pretty good cast.
Gosh, yeah, that's a huge cast.
So,
I've just opened up the IMDb here right now, and I'm looking at it, so I'm just like, ooh.
It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. A lot of fun working with it. And Kevin Porter is always fun to work with. Peter Shinkota is also in this with me.
Yes,
Peter's also in Mortal Kombat Season 1. Legacy Season 1. So he's one of my dear friends.
It was really nice to see him return, actually. I was surprised at that, actually. How's it been working on so many different projects with the same people? How does that come about?
When I love them, it's awesome. When I don't love them, it's still awesome because I'm getting to do what I love to do. But I got to be around a lot of my friends in this. We cast a lot of our friends. Not all of them. We wanted some other ones. We wanted but there was a couple of roles that were already cast with other people's friends and stuff like that. So we had to take what we could get.
Well, mentioning Peter Shinkoda, he, as you just said, he was in Mortal Kombat Legacy Season 1 as Sector. Now, that is pretty cool, but you came in for Season 2 and came in as everybody's favorite, Johnny Cage. So we'd love to hear about this. We got a full season out of you. Were you a fan of MK before you were cast as Johnny Cage, or were you just looking for roles with the name Johnny in it?
Yeah, I think all the roles with Johnny I should play because this is for me. So I thought I should change the name of Sam Heist to John Heist. Johnny Heist. But no, it's Sam Heist. I love being Johnny Cage. I love. I walked up to the day when I had the first meeting with the director. I walked up and I go, and I knew who he was, and I wanted. So, all right, who's the one that thought I should play Johnny Cage? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? And he goes, what? I go, E-list actor who can't get a job? What are you trying to say?
Oh.
He goes, oh, you're so perfect for this. And I'm like, what are you trying to say? So,
is this Kevin for Season 2? Kevin Tancheron?
Kevin for Season 2.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he said, he goes, you're perfect for this. I was like, well, I thought the guy that they had to do it before me was really good. I thought he's an amazing fighter, but I think they wanted something different. You know, they said they wanted more comedic.
Because that was Matt Mullins, and he did a great serious Johnny, but I see what you mean by going for a more comedic route.
Yeah. Matt did an incredible job. I was like, when I watched it, I was like, why are they asking me to come and do this? I think I did fine. I'm like, but, you know, I don't question. I mean, I do question, but I also just enjoy and I have fun. It's great because when I was a kid, I used to go and play Mortal Kombat. I would put the quarters in the machines and play it when it was a quarter. When you go down to the grocery store and they had a machine there you could use. So,
who did you used to play when you were a kid?
Johnny Cage.
Did you? Yeah. Was he your favorite character, or did you have another favorite?
Yeah, my all-time favorite character, Johnny Cage. So it's like when they asked me to do it, I was like, oh my god, that's so cool.
You played Johnny Cage because his name was Johnny again, right?
Yeah, that's it. That's one of the prerequisites for most of the scripts I take. If it's Johnny, I'm in. I'll be Johnny on the spot. Johnny, good to go.
So what did you know about Johnny Cage before you actually picked up this role?
Well, I knew that Van Damme, the original Johnny Cage was JCVD. It was supposed to be a whole. It was supposed to be a whole video game about him, and then he pulled something they didn't like, so they just changed it to a D-list actor, which I thought was insulting but funny. As I enjoy humor and I enjoy being the butt of the joke too, so I'm not bagging on Jean-Claude Van Damme, who I think is amazing. So he's JCVD is amazing. And so then he went on to do Street Fighter because he was like so pissed because he didn't get to do Johnny Cage. But yeah, he would have been great as Johnny Cage.
How about in terms of background on Johnny? Like what sort of information were you given for Legacy, for example?
The D-list actor without a job. Just be you, Casper. Just be you. What? Fatality. You caged.
What was there any sort of casting process for you to get this role?
No, they just offered it for me, and then when I got it, I won the 18th annual Webby Awards. I won Best Actor as Johnny Cage, and I didn't even notice that the producer Lance Sloan called me up and said, "Hey, Casper, you won Best Actor last night at the Webby Awards." He goes, "Oh," I go, "I didn't know I was nominated." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, and I go, "Wait, it was last night?" And I go, "How come you guys didn't invite me?" He goes, "Well, we didn't know you were going to win." but I have the award here for you. And by the way, would you like to do season 3? And I said, I'm in. And so because of all that, they made a season 3, and we shot it, and I've seen it. It looks great. I've seen the rough. There's somebody just posted a rough, edited, stolen copy of it, but I've seen the finished one, and it's amazing. They never released it. There's 7 episodes, I think. I'm not sure how many episodes. There's 2 of them they weren't sure about, and 5 of them that they really love. And Johnny Cage one they love. So I was like, okay, cool. But still, it hasn't come out 7 years later.
It hasn't come out, but actually, somebody who might be on the show right now released a couple of pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What tell us about the pictures.
They're from season 3. They're on set, but not revealing any real secrets. So they're just publicity stills, and I got them yesterday, and then decided to put them up because I thought I was doing this interview today, and I thought, that might be cool. I wonder if they'll talk about it.
Well, we're happy to hear that we've inspired you to release those pictures, and we were actually so happy to. I noticed, firstly, like, we're gonna get to how you look as Johnny, but I did notice that this is our first look, if I remember correctly, at it was Angela Serafian as Devora. Was that the case? She looked pretty cool.
I can't say yes or no, but I can say yes, it was her. What she was playing, but pretty badass.
Yeah. Well, in terms of looks as well, you looked like Mortal Kombat. This is weird to me, considering when it was filmed, but you looked like Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat X Johnny as one with the outfit that you were wearing.
Yeah, I think they were trying for that a little bit. I think they were trying to do something like that, and they were trying to do a correlation with it. Well, because we were doing some press with their video game at the time. I would have loved to have done the voiceover for it. I don't know who they got. They probably got the real Johnny Cage.
They brought in, well, Andrew Bowen was the voice actor, but I do know that they brought in, did they bring Lyndon Ashby to do his voice as well? FANTiM?
Actually, it might have been a voiceover. I don't remember for sure, but
I don't know. But Lyndon Ashby, he's so sweet. He came up to me at the gym and said, "Good job, man."
Oh, that's awesome.
I was so happy. I took a picture of it one time and put it up. Maybe I'll see if I can find that again.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see.
Oh yeah, Johnny and Johnny.
But
Double Dragon.
Yeah, Double Dragon. Yeah. Now we have actually seen some released raw footage, which was in, I think it was around March 2021, and we saw a lot of your footage. Actually, we see you entering a fight club after speaking with Kari Tagawa as Shang Tsung, and he's pointed you in the direction of it seems to be Ferrator, who you fight in the nightclub after taking somebody out for thinking you were Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Yeah, funny. I wish to God they could release the real the fully edited, fully done, fully colorized one, because it is finished, it is complete. I've seen it, and it's really good. They did a great job. So it's even better than season 2.
That is, I mean, I still remember, and I've recently rewatched it. I rewatch Legacy every so often. I absolutely loved it. This was at a time where Mortal Kombat, even Legacy Season 1, Mortal Kombat itself was sort of going through this transformation, I suppose, and there wasn't much content. And then Legacy, Rebirth firstly released, Kevin Tuncheron's fan thingy.
Kevin's a genius. He was also the producer on Season 3. He was also a producer. Yes. He was on set when I was shooting, so it was so awesome to have him there guiding it too. So
that's cool.
I love him, and I'm so grateful for him. So I loved him affording me the ability to play Johnny Cage. I'm hoping he'll cast me again or something.
As are we. Now, your portrayal of Johnny was definitely comedic, but you were really fighting, and that's actually something I noticed in the unedited footage of Generations, because you seem to do what I think was supposed to be a shadow kick, which wasn't actually processed. Is that the case?
I just did whatever they had me do.
Okay.
I fought with he showed me the shadow kick, and I tried to do whatever I could. So I did some stuff, and then they had a stunt double who did some really incredible kicks for me too. So he was just amazing. So I did do some of mine, but they did have a stunt guy. So, and I did a lot of my own fight in it. And you'll see me, and I'm on the ground and everything like that too. But they did have a pretty incredible stunt person doing one of them spinning roundy kick things
off the floor.
Oh yeah, they were pretty amazing. I never. And the same with season 3, I had a pretty good, amazing guy. But I did a lot of my own fights there. I even fought a guy named Casper. His last name was Casper.
Oh,
2 Caspers fighting.
There's this one scene in season 2 where you kind of do like this backflip kick. Was that yourself? Because as you said, a lot of these moves were your own moves. Did you do everything in season 2, or was there a stunt double that kind of came in and
No, there was a stunt double in season 2 and 3, and they did some of the stuff. I did a lot of it, but there was a couple like precise kicks that I think they needed. I don't remember. It's been a while.
That's the thing. It was actually done so well that we couldn't tell if it was a stunt actor or you at times. And as you're saying now, you've done some of the stunts, and then you had somebody come in to do certain other ones that it was done very well.
Yeah, same in Starship Troopers. I did a lot of my own fights in that too. I did all my fights in that. There's 2 flips I didn't do, and a couple other things. But I mean, there's a lot of things that I did that my stunt doubles did too. And they kept using it because they're like, we're going to keep filming. We're going to keep filming because they shot so many different angles and so many different things. So they're like, we just need somebody up there right now. So
what was your history with martial arts in the past, like to be able to pull off some of these moves?
So my dad taught me boxing when I was little. My dad was a bantamweight champion for the Navy. And then I started taking Shotokan karate when I was young. And then I moved into boxing again. And then I went into Taekwondo, where Garrett Warren was my Taekwondo instructor and boxing instructor too. So I was throwing kicks and punches with him for years. And then, I also did go-kart high stand for a little bit over in with judo when I was 20, and for a little bit down there. And then I did, I worked out with Olivier Gruner. He did mixed martial arts with me and jiu-jitsu and for a couple of years. And then Mark Dacascos for a couple of years with mixed martial arts, Muay Thai.
Gosh, I had no idea that your training was so extensive. That's awesome to hear. Did you do any weapons also?
Yeah, I did weapons with Mark and Garrett, and just swords.
Swords, yeah.
But I'm going to reiterate. I've studied all these things. I've done all these things, but I'm not a martial artist. Mm-hmm. I'm not a real martial artist. I'm an actor. I do it to look good in movies. That's it. And I'm grateful that I know how to do stuff now that I didn't know how to do when I was younger. Mm-hmm. I'm really grateful for it, but I still run. They better catch me. Mark Dacascos said it best to me. He goes, Casper, Bruce Lee said it. If you can only do one thing, run. If you can only train one thing, run. And so I go, I will run always. He goes, and I will run from every fight. He goes, no, that's so you have oh, no, I'm going to run from the fight. I get on fight, but I'm going to run. They better know that I practice running. So I want to live another day. I don't want to fight. I've been hit by these guys. So the thing is, you train with some of the greatest fighters, and Mark Dacascos is amazing, and Olivier Gruner is amazing. Garrett Warren's amazing. These guys are amazing fighters, and you go in and train with them. You get hit by them, and you go. And I've come back with black eyes and fat lips and cuts and bruises and just things that happen. And I go, yeah, I never want this to be for real. I love that I'm doing it, and we're doing it for real when we're training. But oh my goodness, if it was real, like a street. When I got in fights when I was young, and I did because I was pretty dumb, I just was scared. And now I'm not as scared some ways, but I still wouldn't fight anybody I just wouldn't. I think I could talk myself out of it. And plus, I'm old now. Why would anybody want to pick on an old man?
Old man. Right. Well, you definitely took Mark Dacascos's words to heart in season 2 as Johnny, because a lot of that was spent running away from Melina and Katana.
Mark is such a fun guy to train with, and I mean, he's an incredible friend and a great. I mean, I love kicking with him and doing Muay Thai with him. He was just so generous with his time. He took me to train with his teacher, Crew Puck, who was the guy that originally brought, Muay Thai to America. He's the original guy, and he won like 89 fights. And I was like, how do you still look decent, being an old guy with, but won 89 fights? He goes, because I won. He talks a lot of elbows and knees and stuff like that. And once you get hit with an elbow, it just hurts a lot more than even a fist. It's just like a blade, like a huge. And so I was thinking, this guy didn't have anything on his face, and but he's like, but he wasn't saying it to brag. He was just saying, because I won. That's why. If you win, you're not going to get your face hurt. And I'm like, yeah, but 89 fights, somebody's going to get a lucky hit in some time. You're like, it's something split open. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Fan reception to your take on Johnny was extremely positive. You managed to capture the humor alongside being badass. But I'm curious how you felt about your sort of take on Johnny when it came to having less of. You showed off your martial arts, for example, but in this case, it was your episodes were focused on you taking on 2 characters at once. Now, this was a big change from the other characters having their fights in the show, because everybody was taking on 1 character. But you then had to deal with the 2. How was that, having a sort of triple fight episode for you in your case?
Well, it was fun because she ended up, the sister ended up becoming on my side. So, she fought with me. So it's easier when you have a girl fight with you than when you have 2 girls fighting against you. And both of them can totally kick my ass. Both of them are such experienced martial artists. They're amazing. So I love working with both of them. They were just the sweetest girls, and they were so kind and so professional and so good, and they could do everything. Every single thing. That's all them. They didn't have any stunt doubles. They were, and if they did, the stunt doubles would have gone home. They were that good. I was like, wow.
Gosh. Season 3, as we mentioned, has parts of it have been leaked, but unedited, unfinished versions of this. There are some scenes of you working with your daughter, Cassie Cage, Johnny Cage's daughter, Cassie Cage. Were you able to pull from some of your real life experiences for this role? Because you played a more, like a Mortal Kombat X, a Mortal Kombat 11 version of Johnny Cage that's more reserved. You've kind of calmed down, but at the same time, you're willing to go to a nightclub and beat the crap out of somebody if you have to. Were you able to kind of pull from yourself for this role?
Yeah, I loved working with the young actress that played my daughter in that. That was all brought on because Gracie suggested, my daughter Grace, who's on Stranger Things right now, she plays Chrissy. She said, hey, Dad, if you're going to do Johnny Cage, you got to do Cassie Cage. And then they're like, okay, yeah, they did. But then they cast somebody else. So I was like, Haley Lou, who did great. But my daughter's the one that was like, hey, they need to do that. And then later they're like, oh, Gracie's doing so well. And I'm like, yep. I mean, so does Haley Lou. But, it's just both sweet. But it's just my daughter. I was like, she's the one that suggested it. And they did it. And then I got to do the scene with this younger actress that played my young Cassie, and that was awesome.
So speaking of your daughter Grace, as you mentioned, she's kind of become this overnight sensation with playing the cheerleader Chrissy from Stranger Things. I mean, there's fan art about her now, like all sorts of stuff has come out of the works for this. How does it feel to have so many talented actors in your family?
Well, she's the talent. Her and my wife are so good. I'm so impressed. I'm so proud of her, and she's having this pop culture moment in time where she's just so popular and doing so well. I couldn't be more proud as a father. I'm really lucky, and she's an awesome daughter, and she's always been awesome. So I've been very lucky.
I'm just trying to hold on. It's beautiful. I'm the emotional one out of FANTiM and I. So,
well, thank you, Johnny. She's just. I feel very blessed as a father. I mean, it's a good moment in time for her, and she's got a good head on her shoulders. And she just did this wonderful article in the Washington Post where she was like talking about how she loved nepotism, and she goes, it doesn't always get you the job, and it doesn't. Mm-hmm. She goes, but it's really cool when they talk about your dad, they talk about Johnny Rico.
Like, oh, that's cool. Dad. Yeah.
She's just sweet. She's just sweet.
Well, on that whole father-daughter sort of relationship, but in Mortal Kombat Legacy, we did also see in the leaked footage that Cassie and her friend Jackie were supposed to come in and take more of the spotlight, as was actually the case in Mortal Kombat X, the game. Were you as Johnny going to continue to be more in the focus, or was it supposed to sort of start moving towards Cassie and Jackie over time?
I think that there was different episodes, and I was in a couple of them, but they were in this separate thing. I didn't know if I don't think we were going to do a crossover with me and them.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't know. I have no idea where it was going to go.
Well, I'm curious then as well, because I remember a post from you a few years ago. You posted something about your training at like 6,000 feet up or something. Where were you doing all this? Where was where was everything being recorded? Sorry, can't say.
Oh no, was this for training for?
This was for Legacy, I think. Yeah. So I'm just curious as to what filming locations you had, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't know where I was that was high up. I mean, I train a lot. I like to run in the mountains.
Mm-hmm.
I love going up and down and running in the mountains. So I love training. So I don't know where I was a couple weeks ago when I posted that. I have no idea. But that's me. I don't think it was anything specific for. I mean, I might have specifically been going, oh, I'm doing this for this, but I don't know. I don't remember where I was.
Fair enough. I'm just very curious as to, because we've been getting little bits of information on Generations, and figuring out like how it was supposed to look, and actually seeing the footage and everything just makes you more curious.
I'm curious. I want to see. I want it to be seen.
So I mean, you've mentioned this already, but it's pretty much a sure bet that you would definitely reprise your role as Johnny Cage if ever given the chance, right?
Oh, I would be honored to be Johnny Cage. It would be a great thrill to be old man Johnny Cage. Oh, that log, I come rock that. I'll do some more training.
How about for voice acting or facial modeling, as we mentioned earlier with Lyndon Ashby, for example? Would you do that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% in.
And there's been no contact since Mortal Kombat Generations?
No,
nothing. That's a shame. That's really a shame.
Yeah, I was hoping when they did that. Also in the reveal in the movie where they showed the cage belt, and it looked like cage belt it looked like the cage belt we had shot with.
Right.
Oh,
it really did. We shot that 8 years ago, so we're before Mortal Kombat was shot. So maybe they saw that. Maybe somebody at Warner Brothers was like,
"There's still hope."
So I don't know.
That might have. I mean, it's funny looking back on Legacy with the Generations with the previous footage, et cetera, and the pictures you've just released. It really does seem like, your Kevin Garrett Warren's, who, by the way, we haven't mentioned, but we had on the show in March 2021 as well previously. Amazing to talk to him. But it seems like you guys have all managed to actually influence Mortal Kombat 11 and even the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie, as well as 2021, because you actually see this exact belt and outfit that you're wearing in those pictures in Mortal Kombat 11. So that's actually quite crazy to see that influence.
Yeah, I don't know if that was done on purpose by us or them. So I'm that's above my pay grade of knowing who. So I don't know. I'm not privy to that. So.
Kind of looking back on the series, what's been your opinion of it? Do you ever go back and rewatch some of these old episodes of Legacy and things like that?
I'm not big on watching myself too much. I mean, it was fun watching it the first time because I really enjoyed working with Mark Dacascos a lot. And we had a lot of humor and things that went on in the set. And they did a cut where we were doing more of there was a little bit of banter between the two of us in it. And I thought that was really amazing. But it ended up being cut, a lot of it cut out. There's still some of it in there, but there was some of it was cut out of the final cut. But I had some great experience making it. I love both seasons. I love making with both people. I mean, it was just season 3 felt like it just added more because it was more development. And so you always feel like that when you're an actor. You always want to add more and do more if you can. Just bring more layers to your character. And I think that he's more complex than he likes to admit, Johnny Cage. And I think he's, he's just a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to play.
Well, how would you say, because we like to see how Mortal Kombat's affected everybody's lives. It's, we started this podcast and we always like to ask our guests, how has Mortal Kombat affected your life?
Well, it's just when people come up and they're like, you got caged. Pretty awesome. So I feel like that. I've had some people that have, your Johnny Cage shirt. They had a picture of me, but with Johnny Cage on it. So I've had
that's cool.
They made it themselves, obviously, but still, it is cool. It's cool to have that, and the fandom. I love it. I mean, I love playing that, and I loved even playing it. On the video games now, I can't keep up with the kids anymore now. On it, but my daughter plays games, so maybe she'll play that sometime. She'd be Cassie Cage, though. I know her.
Yeah.
Do you have any dream projects that you've always wanted to be a part of? Any books out there that you're hoping that will be turned into a movie for you? Oh
man, my wife has written 2 scripts, and they're both comedies, and it would be fun to do a rom-com. The way she's an incredible writer. So I'm hoping one day to do one of hers. That would be a great gift for me. So as far as other things, I mean, there's great directors I want to work with. When I read a good book, yes, I do want to be in it. I don't know, what book I could say right now offhand that I'm doing. I mean, I love making movies. So I love all kinds of movies. Even the ones that aren't off of books, but the ones off of books are fun because I love books.
So we mentioned the Most Dangerous Game and Salvage Marines. Are there any other upcoming projects that you'd like to tell our fans about before we let you go?
Well, I have a movie out called Assailant right now too, where I play a psycho in it. It's a good one for people. I dug that one. It was a lot of fun. And I have one called The Battle of Saipan that's coming out. That was a lot of fun that I did with Louis Mandalore and my wife, Jeff Fahey, really cool cats.
Some good stuff for us all to check out then.
Yeah.
I'm very curious now, because obviously Johnny Cage is your favorite character, but what is your favorite finisher?
Ooh. Well, it would have to be the nut hit, right? Come on.
Nice.
That's a good one. Actually, now that you mention it, Cassie.
Full split.
Cassie has a great variation on that one where she actually kicks them so hard in the nuts that their head and their spine shoot out of their body.
That's awesome. That would probably
be. Casper, where can our listeners find you? What's the best way for them to keep up to date on your projects and everything that you have going on?
Well, I just got back on social media. I was off for 2.5 years because I don't like hate so much. I'm more about just trying to do, I love the movies and stuff like that, but the political climate got too crazy for me. So I left. But now I'm back and I'm trying to promote it and trying to be positive and stay cool. So people can just find me at Casper Van Dien on Instagram, Twitter.
Well, it's great to have you back on social media, and looking forward to more posts, maybe more Generations posts as well.
We'll see. I have a couple more.
All right. Well, Casper, we'd like to thank you very much for joining us on this episode. It was a pleasure to have you on the Realm Kast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you to all of our listeners for stopping by the Realm Kast today. You can find Yanni and myself, FANTiM, on the Mortal Kombat group on Facebook, as well as Yanni on the Mortal Kombat meme realm, which is also on Instagram.
You can also join our official Discord channel hosted on Mortal Kombat Online server through the link in the description, where we discuss Mortal Kombat along with our listeners.
Special thanks to Uppercut Editions for their continued support. The Realm Kast is the official podcast of Mortal Kombat Online.
And you can catch up on all episodes of the Realm Kast on YouTube, Facebook, iTunes, Spotify, and mortalkombatonline.com. Thank you.
You just got caged.